Got 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide to the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our producer and engineer, the fantastic Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 2 o'clock. Welcome in on this Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is
Hump Day.
There you go. Hump Day, made her halfway through the week of school and work, although some colleges already pretty much wrapping things up, but public schools still going until into June. So a bit of time left there. It is a beautiful day here in downtown Madison on State Street at the world headquarters of Civic Media. Blue skies right now. Temperatures in the 70s. Watch out, though. Some parts of, particularly, and this is why I say central Wisconsin, it's a very wide swath to cut. Basically, from the Madison area up through La Crosse and Wausau and Stevens Point and Wisconsin Rapids up to Eau Claire. And just north of that area, that whole middle part of the state, maybe not central, but the middle part of the state, some chances of high winds and hail and some strong storms into tomorrow. So be aware of that and just keep an eye to the sky, as they say. But today, get out there. It's absolutely fan-dang-tastic. Beautiful show on tap for today in hour number 2. Timely indeed. What's the worst today? Allergies or sunburn? You could get both on a day like today, at least here in Madison. So that's coming up. Also have a couple of fun stories for you and some polling as well we'll talk about here and there throughout the show. But first, we bring him on every Wednesday. He is a former Republican like myself. He is a Wisconsinite like myself. Grew up in beautiful River Falls area, that part of the state. A graduate of the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, and now a senior advisor to the Lincoln Project. He joins us from the Tony suburbs of Washington, D.C., Trygve Olsen. How are you, Trygve?
I'm good, Todd. How are you?
I am well. Our friend and colleague, Pat Kreitlow, who normally joins us on Wednesdays, is off on vacation this week. So he'll be back next week. Well, after a week of the new shows, he said, that's it. I need a break. I'm out of here.
I got to give a huge shout out here, Todd, at the top of the show to Tony Zimmerman, loyal listener, and Trygve's first follower on Substack. Tony, really? I'm honored that you're going to read whatever it is I write on the Substack machine. I had to sign up, but I am glad that you are one of my 36 people following me. If any of the rest of you are interested, follow me on Substack. I can't tell you what I'm going to talk about, but I'm sure it will be interesting. Green Bay Packers.
You have no idea whatsoever what you might talk about, but it'll be there on Substack.
No.
All right.
It will be right there. Todd and Zommers are not even following me on Substack.
I will. I will.
Tony is. Right,
oh, he just did. Zommers just did.
Thank you, Zommers.
And for those that don't know what Substack is, it's just yet another kind of social media platform where it's more just columns and articles that people write and post on there. There's not
Mine's called Searching for Hope.
Oh, I like that. Trygve Olsen, Searching for Hope.
Well, because can I divulge something personal here for a minute? So our first daughter, who, as you know, Ula and Ka's older sister, was stillborn at 38 weeks. Mm-hmm. And we were living in Lithuania, and her name was Vilta. And Vilta means hope in Lithuanian, and actually hope for the future. And so I thought, what a better tribute to could be a better tribute than naming my Substack after. I mean, I have
That's
other
super
tributes
cool.
that are probably better, but they'll see at
super
her
cool.
gravesite. If you ever go to Vilnius, Lithuania, in Vilnius,
Mhm.
they have these beautiful angels that this artist put up all over town. They're marble angels. And my wife and I, through a mutual friend, he had heard about us losing our daughter, and he had lost a daughter. He offered to make one for her, and so the picture that they'll see on my Substack is this angel, and it's the angel that sits over her gravesite. And it was so moving because here we were going through this really hard time,
Mhm.
feeling like you're all alone. You know, obviously losing your first child, horrible experience, and here this nice man who didn't even know us, who was famous, came and said, "I'd like to make an angel if you're interested for your gravesite."
Wow. That's
And
super
yep,
cool.
yeah, which it
Nicely done.
reminds me all the time. People are good. I
Mhm.
know we forget that sometimes, but most people are good.
Well, and we didn't even necessarily plan this, but it fits right into where I want to go. Spend a large portion on our time together with you, Trigby, today. Yesterday, we had our friend and ongoing contributor, Kira Sabin, on the show, who is a positivity psychology coach. And we're doing a 3-part series with her yesterday and the next Tuesday and the following Tuesday on building our own communities. How do we just interact in our communities, in our lives, aside from politics, in a positive way? And today I want to have this conversation. I know we've touched on it before, but I wanted to have this conversation with you a little bit on how because the summer's here, we're going to be kayaking and golfing and going to brat fests and all kinds of stuff. We get together. We interact, generally speaking, more with people over the summer, and inevitably politics comes up. And so I'd like to have you walk us through a little bit of how we might have those conversations with our friends, our neighbors, those we run into. And what you just said about someone who has lost a child, somebody like me could never know or really truly appreciate your experience because I've never walked through that. And I think at a much lesser degree, politics, is a much lesser degree than losing a child. But you and I both left the Republican Party for different reasons at different times. And I think one of the things that concerns me as someone who is privileged enough to have a platform on the air every day across Wisconsin is, how am I talking to people? How is this show listening or not listening or talking with and to people? And I just am a big believer as someone who's actually left my party, the Republican Party, and walked away and burned bridges, quite frankly, which is fine. I did it for the right reasons. I don't regret that. But being yelled at and condemned and told I was stupid and part of the problem and I'm voting for a bozo, those were not the reasons that I left the party. And I know you have your own experiences, so I want to get into that a little bit later this hour if we can.
Somebody called you a bozo, Todd?
I was cleaning it up for radio.
Oh, okay. Because honestly, if somebody used the term bozo, if you use the term bozo, it's pretty clear who the bozo is.
Right, exactly. But let's begin with a little reaction to politics of the day. And I want to get your reaction to this one, Trigby, because it started as a thing that as soon as I heard it, I texted our friend Matt Flynn. I said, what in the heck is going on here? And he was outraged. And a lot of the big networks kind of didn't give it a lot of airtime the first couple of days, but it's taken on new life here. And we're talking about Donald Trump, who tweeted out on his True Social here earlier this week, saying that the Boeing 747 is being given to the United States Air Force Department of Defense. And then in capital letters, not to me, exclamation point. It is a gift from a nation, Qatar, that we have successfully defended for many years. It'll be used by our government as a temporary Air Force One until such time as new Boeings, which are very late on delivery time, arrive, and it goes on from there. I don't want to read the whole thing. It just kind of nauseates me. But to put it in a nutshell, for those that might not have heard so far, there,
Have to be a pretty big nutshell.
yes. So United States of America has 2 Boeing 747s that serve as Air Force One whenever the President of the United States is on board. Any aircraft he's on is called Air Force One. And so there are 2 identical ones for security purposes. And during Trump's first term, they're 40 years old. And so they ordered a new pair. And he wanted the livery or the paint job changed from the Jackie Kennedy Robin Egg blue to basically his own colors on his private plane, a dark blue and red and silver. And then Biden came in. He said, no, we're going to keep it the same. And now these planes have been delayed. There's been delays. And now Trump has got a new deal with the nation of Qatar or Qatar. And they call it literally a palace in the sky, a $400 million aircraft. And Trump wants to accept this and use it as Air Force One while he's president. And then it would be given to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation for his own private use after he leaves office. Experts say it would take at least 2 years and $750 million, $750 million to retrofit this, not to mention all the security risks on this, and taxpayers are going to pay for it. And Trigby, what I said earlier this week was, we all know a guy in our towns across Wisconsin who puts all of his money into a UTV or soups up his truck, and his lawn looks like crap, or he doesn't paint his house, or his kids don't have clothes, and we think, what a jerk this guy is. And to me, Trigby, this is kind of the ultimate jerk move.
I think this is a story that has wings, Todd. Number one. This is, I mean, to defend this, you have to constrict yourself because it's so obvious what's going on here, right? He wants the plane for himself. And Air Force One, I can tell you, having lived overseas and having been in places where Air Force One lands, Air Force One is a symbol of the United States. But Donald Trump, it's not about the United States. I hate to break it to all these people who voted for him. It's not about you. Donald Trump is a guy, he's the guy kind of as you described, who everybody knows in the bar, who it's all about him. And the idea that he's president of the United States, he's taking this gift from Qatar, which is one of the worst sort of autocratic, nasty countries in terms of how they treat people, their own people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just obviously outrageous. It's obviously all about him. He even wants to have it called Trump Force One, not Air Force One.
Judas Priest. Are you serious?
And so
I haven't heard that part yet.
I just think, clearly his response is, it's not me, it's the Department of Defense. But if you believe that, I've got some land down in Belize I'd be happy to sell you, right?
Right.
Or the dairy farmer in Wisconsin's got some stuff out in the barn he'd like to sell you. I don't know. I just think the amount of graft and other things that appear to be going on, and this is right out in the open. And that's the thing. I mean, and I would guess that what's happening is all the people in the White House, they know that he can't accept this, that people are going to, this is a bridge too far. This is Fonzie jumping the shark, right? Right there in Wisconsin on whatever lake. But no one wants to tell him, no one wants to tell him that because he wants to have the fanciest plane in the world. He doesn't want the United States of America and the president to have the fanciest plane. He wants it. And oh, by the way, where the heck is Elon and Doge?
Yeah, right.
Where are they if this kind of spending is going to take place? All you fiscal conservatives, call. Scotty Walker, please call in, Scott. I'll be nice to you. Let's debate this.
More on the other side of the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Conversation 92.7 WMD.
I think we need Big Old Jetliner by Steve Miller Band.
I used it last time we talked about this, but it's been a couple days, so it's fine.
Dial it up. That's good.
One of my favorite songs.
Is it really?
And he's got Wisconsin connection.
How so?
slows GA progression by targeting
Steve
a
Miller,
key
man, really?
source of retinal cell death, which may help
Steve Miller?
Wisconsin.
vision
I didn't know
longer.
that.
His next
How did I
door
not know
neighbor
that?
he's from Wisconsin. His next door neighbor
Milwaukee.
and godfather was Les Paul.
No
Milwaukee.
way.
Wow.
I kid you not. Les Paul taught
believe you.
Steve Miller how to play guitar, and then he went to the University of Wisconsin for a year. And I forget who it was, what the other band was, or who it was, but somebody suggested that he go out during the summer to Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco, and he never came back. Yeah, I saw Steve Miller. Steve Miller opened. I go to these kinds of things, as people know. I went to see Def Leppard, and I had to give a speech in Detroit. So I called my buddy Jeff Timmer, who's I think been on the show, right?
Yep.
So I called Timmer, and I said, "Hey man, I'm like, I know you and your wife like to go see 80s rock bands. My kids and everybody are in Lithuania. I got to give this speech. Why don't you pay for the hotel rooms? I'll pay for the tickets. We'll go and see." So it was Journey and Steve Miller Band. I mean, Journey and Def Leppard. And they announced at the start of it, they had a special guest who was with them for 3 nights in Chicago and Detroit. And it was Steve Miller. He's 80 years old and he's still up there rocking.
That's crazy. That is
And he was
crazy.
telling the story about his Wisconsin roots and Les Paul teaching him to play guitar. And he had the guitar that Les Paul had originally given him. Yep.
That's super cool. Cam in Appleton quotes Trigby and says, because Trigby just said, "I'll be nice to you." Cam says, "Trigby, Scott is a cuck. He wants the bullying."
All right, 20 seconds.
Tell Cam if he follows me on whatever Substack, this Insta Substack or whatever it is, I'll write about Scott Walker.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is now 22 past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Little Steve Miller Band. Trigby educated me, Trigby Olson, senior advisor at the Lincoln Project over the break. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but tell them, Trigby, what I did not know.
Let's see if we have a listener. Does anybody know who, they can text or call in if they know who taught Steve Miller how to play guitar.
This is
And there is a Wisconsin connection to this.
Yes.
Yep.
Who taught Steve Miller of the Steve Miller Band to play guitar? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or text us
Honestly,
on the Civic Media app. Troy, listening in Mount Horeb, because Trigby said, if you believe Donald Trump on this plane stuff, I have some land in Belize to tell you. Troy says, Trigby is so well-traveled, he may actually have land in Belize.
yeah, I do, probably. I could arrange that.
All right, so talking about this Trump plane, he's going to accept a $400 million plane as Air Force One. Trigby tells me now he
Trump
wants to
Force
call
One.
Trump Force One. I hadn't heard that part. And experts say there's no way that Trump's going to be able to use it this year like he wants to without it not being safe and going through all the security arrangements. This is an interesting note. Qatar's alleged involvement in the September 11th, 2001 attack centers on claims that it provided a safe haven and support for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, a key al-Qaeda operative and the principal architect of the attacks. Between 1993 and 1996, KSM resided in Qatar, where he worked as a project engineer for the Ministry of Electricity and Water. And it says he is said to have used Qatar as a base to plan activities, including early stages of what became the 9/11 attacks. And it goes on from there. Source of that information, Gronk on Twitter. I'm
Or
serious.
Grok, not Gronk.
Yeah, Grok, whatever it's called. On
Croc?
On it's the AI thing on Twitter. So I mean, even Elon's own AI stuff is
Speaks out
confirmed.
against him all the time,
Yeah,
and people
with facts,
yeah,
with real
exactly.
facts. Yeah, 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Rick in Waukesha. Rick, thanks for calling. What say you?
How you doing there?
Doing well. What do you got for us, Rick?
Well, Steve Miller was taught to play guitar a lot by Les Paul from Waukesha.
Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely.
Correct.
Well done. Nicely done,
How
Rick.
about that?
You're
Well, you have a great day.
all right. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We got a
couple people texted in with the right answer
Ronnie
as
and Horicon listening on AUK, Lyle in Waukesha, and Jim in Appleton, Carrie in Tosa. I guess I'm the only one that didn't know this. That's a pretty cool fact.
That's like a Wisconsin fact that I thought it's part of your Wisconsin core base of knowledge. You're supposed to know,
I'm
Todd.
supposed to have that. I know. All right, let's listen to this, Trigby. So here was the Trumpster when questioned about this jet and what he equated it to.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
It's only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. You know, there was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto: when they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it and they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that, Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Are you serious? So Trump is accepting a $400 million plane for Qatar, who housed terrorists that helped plan 9/11, to a gimme on the golf course? I mean,
Of course, it's about golf. This man thinks about nothing else. Golf and money.
Right. I think we have Trump has landed in Qatar, by the way, and after being in Saudi Arabia, the EAU, now he's in Qatar to I think we have some live footage here, Zobbers. This now from the arrival of Donald Trump in Qatar.
Hey, clear the way in the old bazaar. Hey, you, let us through. It's a bright new star. Oh, come be the first on your block to meet his eye. Make way, here he comes, ring bells, bang the drums. Are you gonna love this guy? Prince Ali, fabulous.
Wait, that's not the arrival of Donald Trump in Qatar?
It's not?
No, actually, it's from the movie Aladdin. But Trigby, this is what it's become, a cartoon. Donald Trump has become a cartoon. It's so over the top. It's so preposterous. It's a cartoon.
Here's the thing. I mean, this is honestly, I wish we'd get some Trump people to call in, but we're not getting anybody to call in. I would just say to my friend who's in Madison, who used to work for Scott and is listening, and occasionally when I get on Scotty, who's like, you don't need to call me after this. Just have Scott call in and explain this to me.
Right.
Why can he not?
Let's go.
How about Robin Voss?
Mark in Prentice, Saskatoon. Mark got 45 seconds. It's yours. Go ahead.
Well, consider it's a complete constitutional violation. I mean, presidents are not supposed to accept anything, period. I mean, the whole purpose of the presidential salary was to avoid corruption. I mean, the founders were really concerned about corruption, corrupting influences of foreign money coming in and influencing the president of the United States. Donald Trump is nothing more than a walking, talking fear of what the anti-federalists were afraid of that Hamilton described in Federalist 67. So, no, the president's not going to be a man surrounded by minions and mistresses and have his own troop of murderous janissaries. And Hamilton described what a president could be in 75, I think, interested in his own enrichment at the expense of his constituents.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it. No, he wants a menagerie around him, a palace in the sky. But as Trump once said, hey, when you're president, they let you do it. Come on back, Trigby on the other side. More of your phone calls. It's the Allbaugh Show on a Wednesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Here, you're listening to 92.7 WMBX.
That was good.
This
all right, guys,
he's kind of
local
jumping
Civic
short
Media
on this
radio
one.
station.
Yeah.
Want to hear even more?
Yeah,
Anytime.
absolutely.
Find all of it.
He's going to be so mad if he doesn't get to have his plane.
Tomorrow is the beginning of
I
the
think he's
final
definitely
phase
going to get
of
it.
Interviews.
I think that everybody's going to tell him no, and he's going to order
I'm
it.
Pam Yankee with a quick update on
And
what's
even
happening in
Rand
food and
Paul's
farming
going to
news on
fold
a
like a cheap
Wednesday.
tin.
And Crawford County is ready.
no.
Crawford County, for the first time in that county's history, hosting the final interviews and finale, which will happen on Saturday evening in Prairie du Chien. Caitlin Kessler, a past Alice in Dairyland herself and Crawford County native, says they've got a lot to show off.
Because Crawford County has such a rural landscape, I think that the entire community is just so thrilled to be able to have this program coming and featuring the diversity of agriculture in our little corner of the state. You know, we have the Mississippi River running right through there. That's crucial for our agricultural commodities. We have a huge local foods movement, but we also have our staples of our dairy farmers, a large hog operation. And so I'm excited to be able to bring the top candidates there who may have never been to Crawford County before, or at least explored it as deeply as we have, show them the beautiful rolling hills, the apple orchards, and in the end, walk away with a 78th Alice in Dairyland.
Crawford County ready to welcome the 6th finalist for Alice in Dairyland. That's Caitlin Kessler, a past Alice in Dairyland herself, part of the Crawford County welcoming crew. You can follow along with details, AliceInDairyland.com, and through their social media streams.
Loss of appetite, drop in milk production, and dehydration are all key indicators of HPAI or bird flu.
All right, we got Fred, we got Joe,
Cattle health and farmers'
and then we'll move on to a little bit of.
Boy, even Ben Shapiro and Laura Loomer
went
after Trump on the jet.
Yes.
When you've lost, lost those
Gabbard.
nutbags.
Yes.
Learn more at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet. Planting season is here, and for farmers across the upper Midwest, it's go time. At Steffes Auctioneers, we've been here for 65 years, helping you buy, sell, and keep your operation moving forward. From your first call to the final loadout, our team is right there with you. Looking to upgrade equipment or sell land? Partner with the team your neighbors trust. Visit SteffesGroup.com to connect with your local rep today. That's STEFFESgroup.com.
And a new but
Well, isn't that what he
familiar
named
face back
his
at the Wisconsin
personal
Farmers
plane
Union
after
yesterday.
becoming
They announced
president?
that
Yeah, but
Danielle
I didn't
Envik
think
You didn't know he
is
was going to
taking
do it
over as
again
the
for
new
this?
Executive
Yeah.
Director mid-May after the retirement of their current executive director, Julie Keown-Bomar. Bomar's led the organization since 2017. Envik is no stranger to the Wisconsin
Let's
Farmers
give the
Union.
Sean
He joined the
Diddy
organization in
Combs trial
2014 and
the
has had
time it so richly
several
deserves.
roles with
He's guilty. Moving on to
You
other
can
news.
read more about Danielle Envik and her plans
Appropriate.
at MidwestFarmReport.com. I'm Pam Yankee.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Partly sunny and feeling summery with high temperatures scraping the low 80s today. And
If you do want to say that, I can follow it with this.
And tomorrow, the heat cranks up a little more. Highs reach the mid-80s.
I don't want to
It'll be
even talk
humid,
about
and
that.
chances for strong to severe thunderstorms move
Totally
through
fair.
early evening. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 75 degrees.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Professor Howard Schwaber.
The point is worth making that an individual government official with the power to unilaterally declare that people he sees without any opportunity of a hearing of any kind is getting really close to the model of rule that the American constitutional system is entirely designed to resist.
Entirely designed to resist. Antithetical to our foundational principles.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons 4 until 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
I used to smoke. I thought
I
cigarettes
saw
was my best
Aladdin
friend.
4 times
They were always
in the
there
theater
for me
when it came
I
out.
needed a break.
I
One of
also
my
thought
all-time
cigarettes
favorite
were my
Disney
best
movies.
friend. And then they gave me peripheral artery disease.
I smoked and had a stroke. Actually, multiple strokes.
I smoked
30 seconds.
and have heart
Gracias.
disease. Here's my tip. If cigarettes are your friend, you need a better friend.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT
I
now.
did not see it in theaters because it
You
came
weren't
out
born yet.
6 years before I was born.
I know.
Go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run.
It's Blair 2.0, nothing more than a grift, ladies and gentlemen. It's how much money can Donald Trump and the Trump family accrue over Trump 2.0. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 35 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. Joining us as he does every Wednesday from the nation's capital, a former Republican like myself, a Wisconsinite like myself, and now the senior advisor at the Lincoln Project, Trygve Olsen, talking about this Trump's Mideast trip, his first state visit. The one to the Pope wasn't officially a state visit. It was just a funeral visit, so this is a state visit. To Saudi Arabia, the EAU, now Qatar, or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it. And he's in Qatar, and they announce, hey, and by the way, he's taking all these CEOs with him. Elon, he made Elon put on a suit, Trip. Did you see that? He had to suit up. Yeah, he made him, he cleans up pretty well when Trump tells him to. And so he's got the CEO of Boeing with him, Trump does, on this trip where they land in Qatar, where he's going to get this $400 million jet to serve as his new Air Force One. And they announced that, guess what? Qatar is going to invest $200 billion with Boeing in fighter jets. Not to mention the fact all of the kickbacks in Syria, where now Trump is going to lift the sanctions on Syria. Another leader, even after Assad is gone, this new guy is in charge, is connected to terrorism and killing American troops. But guess what? Trump wants to build a new Trump Tower in Syria. So the whole
making America great again, Todd.
Right? Yeah, right. The thing that stinks to high heaven, and Trygve, I just think that there are people, not the dyed in the wool, Kool-Aid drinking MAGA folks, but I think there are people in Wisconsin that may have voted for Donald Trump in November. They're not going to be cool with this.
Well, they should ask themselves, if this was Joe Biden taking a plane, $400 million plane for his presidential library, how would they be responding if they were making Biden Force One? Or quite frankly, if Hunter Biden had been running around doing the crypto deals that the Trump family's doing. Jared Kushner just got a $3.5 billion investment from one of the Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds. $3.5 billion.
That's a nice little nest egg if you can get it. And some people are trying.
And Hunter Biden's laptop. Right. I'm telling you, the airplane thing, though, I suspect, for at least some, there is going to be an awakening, and it will be a reminder every time he gets on that airplane of the fact that they've been being played for fools. And the truth is, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, at some point, you would think that there will be a realization that they're being played for fools, that they really don't care about him, about people like them. He doesn't really care about making America great again. And you can only do what about the libs thing so often. We're talking Ben Shapiro and Laura Loomer, for God's sakes.
Came out against this.
John Thune, like Rand Paul.
Right.
This is so obvious what it is that it becomes very, very hard for people to explain it away. And you see that with who are the people that are being quiet. Mm-hmm. Have we heard I haven't, before the election, Scott Walker was yapping all the time about Donald Trump and the economy, and people had moved on from January 6th. Come and talk about the plane. Or what about the loony lady up the dial? Like, is she talking about the plane today? Now, ask yourself this. Would the loony lady up the dial be talking about the plane if Joe Biden was getting a $400 million plane?
She would talk about nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Ad nauseum on conservative radio. Of course, some Republicans, MAGA folks, are saying, well, Ronald Reagan, they got the Presidential Museum, one of the old Air Force Ones. Yes, after it was decommissioned and no one flew on it. It's a museum piece. This is completely different because Trump's going to use it as his personal plane after he leaves office. Let's go to the phone
and
lines.
The Statue of Liberty.
Right.
They're literally comparing it to the Statue of Liberty. Last time I checked, that's in a harbor in New York City where everybody gets to enjoy it.
Although she better be careful because she's an immigrant from France. So I'm not
Well,
so
that
sure.
is true. She could get
I'm not sure
deported.
she's safe or
Christy
not.
Noem might shoot her.
Right.
Give her the old sick dog treatment. By the way, can I say something about that though?
Quick.
Okay, like all these people on the left that went bananas about Christy Noem shooting her dog. I get. I saw the movie Old Yeller too. But like, I mean, it's not how I would choose to put my dog down. I don't think most rational people would put their dog down that way. You take them to the vet when they're really old and you're sad about it. But I mean, come on.
That's a
now the
tangent.
plane.
Okay.
Be outraged about the plane.
All right, 855-752-4842. Let's go to Fred in Cottage Grove. Fred, thanks for holding. What say you?
Hi, guys. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. What do you have
Good
for us,
afternoon, Fred.
That airplane is going to be the biggest security breach ever.
Amen. I agree.
Everything's going to be bugged on that thing. I can't believe it. That's one of the issues, taking that grifter himself. My God. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, it's
Go ahead.
Okay. Have a good afternoon, guys.
Yeah, thanks. You too, Fred.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's another thing that's been underreported or under-talked about is there's no way, according to every expert I've heard and listened to, there's no way that you could retrofit a private plane to Air Force Ones. There are things that are highly, highly top secret classified in terms of anti-aircraft missile defense systems and radars and all this stuff. And there's no way that's going to happen in under a year and a half, 2 years. And Trump wants on this thing in this fiscal year. 855-752.
So the reason the reason it's taking Boeing so long to make the new Air Force One, what you have to understand about Air Force One, and I know this from going through the one on the Reagan Library, they're set up in the case of a nuclear war, right? Like that becomes the command and control of the United States government. It has to be able to fly around if the world is literally ending.
Right. And this one that Trump's going to accept from Qatar does not have the in-air refueling capability.
Well, it has none of that.
Right. It's not a military aircraft.
It's a total ego trip.
Did you
for
ever
an egomaniac.
fly on Air Force One when you worked for McCain?
No.
Oh.
Never flown on Air Force One.
Oh.
It's on it is on my to-do it's on my bucket list of things that I'd like to do, although I think that one's never going to happen. I missed my opportunity.
855-752-4842. Let's go to Joe, listening on WMDX in Madison. Joe, thanks for calling. What say you?
Hey, guys, thanks so much, and I really appreciate the discussion. Strictly just a small moment, little tiny correction on the question of Christy Noem and the dog, shooting of the dog. That dog was actually quite a young dog. It was only about 6 months old.
Yes.
And so the question was not like as an old dog.
So she wasn't putting an old dog down?
No, she was mad
No,
because
it was a
it wasn't retrieving the game well. She was
She
ticked
couldn't
off.
train it. She couldn't train it, so she shot it.
Oh,
she didn't
well,
get the time
that's
to
not
train it, I think.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, now there's the whole facts. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And she should have
She
rehomed
should
it.
not have
She
shot
should
that
rehomed
dog.
it. Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's not. Yeah. Well, when there's a big difference between a 13-year-old dog and a 6-month-old puppy that she just didn't have the patience to train. But at any rate, jumping to this issue of the plane, I want to echo what you guys have just been talking about and offer folks. There's an article at a place called defensenews.com that looks into this even more. This whole question, not just about the emoluments question, but the security and how this is going to be, if it could be upgraded. And it is just a fascinating subject. This plane is 13 years old. It is not some new plane that just got off the line. It's been used by the royal family for the last 10, 13 years, and it is not anywhere near what you would need, and there is no idea what they've put in there in terms of tracking or espionage or creating a kill switch or all these sorts of things. And one of the problems people mentioned is that if you're going to do this retrofitting, you're going to have to take it almost down to the studs of the plane and rebuild. So you're talking about all that cable, all that wire being looked at, and they were mentioning that the people that do this have to have a very high security clearance. It can't just be, Joe down in the from I don't know, from wherever. It needs to be people who have been cleared for this kind of work, and that's hard to find. And they also mentioned that, and I'm curious about this, Congress hasn't appropriated any money to do this, as I understand it. If it's going to cost this much, isn't it on Congress to say, all right, we're going to pay for this in some way? Anyway, I'm so glad you're looking at this and the question of security. I mean, not only when you talk about it being a command and control center in event of a terrible event of a World War III sort of situation, the shielding that would have to happen. You're talking about having to have it be shielded from electromagnetic pulse, all of that sort of thing. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys focusing on the second part of this question that is as crucial as emoluments and just as puzzling as to why we are going to go forward with this. It's going to be, talk about a Trojan horse, it's a gift. Big deal,
Right. I appreciate it, Joe.
Guys.
As always, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Great information, Joe. Appreciate it. Trigby, a mutual friend of ours, texted and said, Christy Nome killed the dog because it wouldn't stop barking. Make sure Trigby understands that. It's true.
Well, yeah.
But anyway,
I get it, but
anyway. But on the plane stuff, Joe is spot on as always, as Matt Flynn likes to say, that it's not just the emoluments clause in the Constitution. It's not just that it looks bad and it's probably against the law, although Pam Bondi, she got her people to sign off on it. Of course she did. It's a rubber stamp. But this is really, for me at least, it comes down to people don't understand that there are all sorts of military folks. There are the press flies on Air Force One. There's all kinds of other people that fly with the President of the United States. And I think if he accepts this and flies with it without it being completely retrofitted, you're putting every single person's life that flies on Air Force One at risk every time you go in the air, Trigby.
I don't think he gives a shit. Oops, sorry. I don't think he gives a rip about that.
Probably not.
Sorry.
Probably not.
I apologize for that little slip up, but the reality is
you caught yourself. It was fun.
The reality is he doesn't care.
Right. John in
he
West
wants
Bend
the
says,
plane because he wants that plane the best.
John in West Bend listening to WAUK says Trump just wants his plane because of all the gold plating and being in a flying palace. I think he loves. Look what he's done to the White House. Somebody posted that that's actually plastic molding that you buy at Home Depot, and they spray painted it gold and put up on the walls of the White House. It's pretty funny. All right, well let's change
I just
gears.
think if Barack and Michelle Obama had done that, the screaming and the outrage and and this is the thing. It gets to the bigger point that you started with, Todd. People have got to start putting themselves in other people's shoes.
Right. And I think that's a real key, and that's a great segue
Empathy,
into what we want to talk
man.
about next. Is we had Kira Sabin, our life psychology positivity coach, who was on yesterday talking about what things we can't change. And again, just to remind listeners, Kira reminded us that our friends, our family, people around us, their physical, their emotional well-being, also their passion and purpose and self-worth. Those are things that only we can control. But what are the things that we can control? So we don't want to just project on other people. What can we control? How can we have positive conversations around politics? We'll discuss that with Trigby next. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Wednesday, right here across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local news, weather, and sports on air and streaming on the Civic Media app. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hey, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing from their mattress. A good night's rest, am I right? It's not rocket science. You don't need a physics genius to make you a futuristic space bed. You just need someone to listen to what you want and who knows the materials that will get you there. And you might even be surprised to learn that someone could be living right next door. At Verlo, we're your friendly neighborhood mattress genius. American made, locally crafted. Welcome to Verlo.
Hey, hon, have you been been to Sugar River Pizza in Sun Prairie yet?
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I love the pizza.
Pizza is ridiculous. That
Tom in LA asks, do you have to pay for your Substack or just subscribe? I don't
No,
know.
there are two buttons. There's subscribe and follow. Do follow.
No, my Substack is free. My Substack's only going to be free. I'm not
I
going to
love
make
Sugar
people pay
River.
for my mussings.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yep. SugarRiverPizza.com.
Oh, so you have heard of it.
Is your computer so slow you can hardly use it? Does it have blue screens, malware, viruses, reboots, hardware crashes? Sound familiar? Computers will have problems, and when they do, you need the computer experts at Madison Computer Works. Every day we help home users and businesses keep their computers and networks running smoothly. For solutions to your computer problems, call the pros at 231-8000, and we'll turn this into this. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
It's your girl, Brandy Grayson, the hostess with the mostest of the Black Conversion Show. And I'm inviting you to the Black Brilliance Gala hosted by Urban Triage on Saturday, May 31st at the Overture Center for the Arts. Join us for an elegant night celebrating unsung heroes.
Cam
For
and
ticket
Appleton
information
says,
and to learn
does
about
Trigby
sponsorship
have an
opportunities,
OnlyFans
please visit us
page?
at urbantriage.org. That's urbantriage.org.
I don't. Do I need one of those?
Every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power
That
flowing,
depends how much
engines
of yourself
running,
you want to
and
show
every
on
other
the
trade
internet.
needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success.
That's pretty
at home
funny.
With companies looking to
That
hire
is.
the best. Their resumes are being
Ostensibly,
built through their paid
you can
training
use
and
that
part-time
for
service.
other
Find
things.
out how
Just
you
you know,
too can
just
learn a
as a
trade
content
by
creator,
visiting
like
nationalguard.com.
you know, just hey,
Sponsored
check
by
out
the
my
Wisconsin
latest
Army
work,
National Guard,
or I
aired
made a
by the
video
Wisconsin
that is
Broadcasters
not
Association and
pornography.
this station.
Like, but
Animal
nobody does that.
enthusiasts, registration is open for Camp Paw Print Summer Break at Dane County Humane Society. Kids ages 7 to 12 enjoy animal interactions, lessons with
30
experts,
seconds.
Thank
service
you.
projects, art projects, and more. Visit giveshelter.org/camp for details.
What is this? An offering to Poseidon. The Greeks are praying for a safe return home.
I hope the sea god spits in their offering. Lets them all drown at the bottom of the sea.
This is a gift. We should take it to the temple of Poseidon.
I think we should burn it.
Burn it, my prince. It's a gift to the gods.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 minutes now before the hour of 3 o'clock. What do you dial up there, Summers?
That's the scene in the 2004 film Troy when the Trojan horse is sitting outside.
Oh, I see.
I know we're moving on past the topic, but I
see.
thought it was
appropriate. I like that. The Qatari plane. More on that later. We are joined every Wednesday at this time by our friend and ongoing contributor, Trigby Olson, Senior Advisor at the Lincoln Project. He joins us via StreamYard from Washington, D.C. You can find him on all sorts of platforms, now on Substack. One of our listeners asked if you have to subscribe. No, you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to pay any money on Trigby's Substack. Just check it out. No. And then Cam in Appleton says, does Trigby have an OnlyFans page? No, you do not.
I should get one.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. By the way, speaking of successful professional media platforms, remember, Trigby, you've hung out with us before.
Are you suggesting that my Substack's not a successful media platform, Tom?
No, I'm talking about the OnlyFans stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
sorry.
No, you've hung out with our old friend Kristen Bry, who has she writes for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel right now. And she also has her As Goes Wisconsin social media platform. And as they say, she's now on another network. And she's doing fantastic.
She's not the lady up the dial I was talking about. Kristen, I hope no one
No, you were talking about conservative radio earlier.
Yeah.
No, I bring it up because I'm going to be seeing her tonight. We've been promoting this all week on the show because it is May Mental Health Awareness Month here in May. And tonight, Kristen's in town. She is going to be moderating a fireside chat with Wisconsin football legend and also NFL successful star Monte Ball is going to be in town tonight. Of course, he had a very successful career at Wisconsin and the NFL, went through addiction and recovery, and now he has a foundation to help others, and Kristen's going to be moderating that tonight. You can join. I'm going to be there, and I've just looked. There's still tickets left. They're going fast, though. It is at Cooper's Tavern on the Capitol Square from 6 until 8:30 tonight, and you can go to journeymhc.org. That's Journey, M as in Mary, H as in Henry, C as in Cat, .org, and then you click on Join Us, and then Mental Health Awareness Month. Zomer's put it up on the screen for those watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the like. So go to journeymhc.org. And you can buy tickets for that great event tonight with Monte Ball and Kristen. And it should be a really, really interesting time. And the money goes to the foundation to help others with mental health awareness and addiction. So hope you join us tonight. Trigby, I want to spend a couple of minutes here before we let you go. We're going to do this longer, but we'll do it next week. We got another couple of weeks here in Mental Health Awareness Month. But I want you to touch on again, because a lot of us are going to be seeing friends and neighbors over the summer, and politics is bound to come up. And walk us through again in your experience, having dealt with authoritarian governments in Eastern Europe, but also working for guys like John McCain and Mitch McConnell in your past. How do we have conversations with those that we care about, but who politically disagree with us without yelling at each other?
Well, I mean, the first thing that you have to recognize is, the conversation isn't about what you think. It's about what the other person thinks. And how do you understand better what it is that's causing them to think that way? And where does cognitive dissonance lie between who they are as you know them as a person and what they're supporting and advocating for politically? And the truth of the matter is, you don't shame someone out of their beliefs. You can only have people look back at their beliefs with shame. So, and you also have to understand that you're not going to likely change somebody in one conversation, right? It has to be an ongoing communication over time, and help them see within themselves, the error of their thinking that's led them to those choices. And a lot of times the choices are just out of habit. But, fact bombing people, trying to, get them defensive, is not going to get you anywhere.
I totally agree. And again, we'll spend more time on this maybe next week, but you went through a very personal thing of losing a child, which is a whole other level of you and I both left our former parties, but I'm not sure what your whole experience was. But I don't think it was much different than mine. Like, I didn't leave the Republican Party because people said George W. Bush was a terrible person or anybody else. It was because I witnessed something firsthand. I understand my experience was unique, that was different than what I believed in my heart. I didn't believe that I could not support a party that was actively working to disenfranchise fellow Wisconsinites from voting. I just wasn't going to go there. And I said, that's not what I believe in. That's not the party that I joined. And that was the main reason I walked away. What was it for you?
At the end of the day, I knew that everything that I had said to people fighting against autocrats around the world would have just been balderdash if I didn't stay true to what I knew to be the case with Trump. But I mean, really, the point where I left the wagon was, when Donald Trump said John McCain's not a war hero. You could say a lot of things about John McCain, and John would say a lot of things about himself. He understood that he was a very complicated person, and at times not a really nice person. But say whatever you want, but to suggest that John McCain, who spent 6 years in the Hanoi Hilton, wasn't a true patriot and a hero, somebody who stood for a cause greater than himself throughout his life, I was just like, that's ridiculous. And, the willingness of people who would profess to be good Christians and wrap themselves in all these kinds of trappings of how they see themselves, it's sad to watch that because they're really just taking the 30 pieces of silver and probably should live, not preach.
Yeah, absolutely. Trigby, always a pleasure. We'll see you next week, my friend. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Stay tuned.
All right, have fun playing this or that, Todd.
All right, Trigby Olson, Senior Advisor, Lincoln Project. Come on. I always forget that we're out of 50 there. Oh.
The one that's different.
Did we change the time that we're out now on that one?
Yes.
Yeah, now it's 59:50.
All right, I got to get on a
All right,
Zoom.
thanks.
See you, boys.
Appreciate you. Yep,
You got a
take care.
problem?
Bye.
I got a plane to catch.
Bye.
President Trump announcing
Bye.
Qatar has agreed to buy a fleet of jets from Boeing.
I just want to thank you for the friendship, for the long-time friendship. And again, long before any of this stuff, we just liked each other.
Qatar has also offered to gift the Trump administration a Boeing luxury jet the White House says would be used as Air Force One. That's raising questions on both sides of the aisle over legality and also national security. Singer Cassie Ventura back on the stand today in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. His ex-girlfriend facing cross-examination about testimony she was coerced into carrying out sex acts with other men and escorts. And a flood emergency in parts of Maryland and Virginia bracing for more torrential rain today. And in Minnesota, they could see some rain to help with record heat and wildfires across the state. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Yet another attack on a Madison bus driver. The problem just seems to keep growing. This one happened Monday morning on West Main Street. Madison police say a passenger boarded a bus through the back door and refused to pay his fare. When the driver confronted him, the passenger punched them. Someone flagged over a couple of detectives nearby. The 21-year-old passenger was arrested for battery to a public transit officer, resisting arrest, and 6 counts of bail jumping. Police involved mental health professionals, and the suspect was taken to the hospital. At least 6 bus drivers have been attacked so far this year. City and union leaders are working on a panel to create new safety initiatives. The city attorney has proposed an ordinance change to specifically protect bus drivers, and barriers will be installed on all Metro Transit buses. Meanwhile, in better news for Metro Transit, the BRT system seems to be having an impact. Last month was the busiest April on Metro Transit buses in 10 years. Ridership on Route A increased 56% from the same time last year. Meanwhile, on Route B, ridership more than doubled. Metro Transit provided 1.3 million rides this past April, which is also the single busiest month in about 6 years. And a program meant to give everybody in Wisconsin the skills to be online has been canceled. The Wisconsin Public Service Commission was set to manage the Digital Equity Capacity Grant. The goal was to solve the digital divide by giving low-income folks, veterans, seniors, people with disabilities, those in rural areas, the opportunity to learn how to use the internet, smart devices, computers, and apps. The money for it came from the big infrastructure law President Joe Biden signed in 2021. The Public Service Commission was accepting grant applications when they got notification from the federal government on Friday that the entire program would be terminated. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
This just in, Max is going to become HBO Max again.
I'm Mike Clemens with sports.
That was such a
Brewers lost to
stupid
the Guardians, 2-0 in
rebrand.
Cleveland. Milwaukee with only 3 hits through 9 innings. Manager
You're just
Pat
going to throw
Murphy-
away all the brand recognition of HBO? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's good marketing.
That's really sputtered. Yeah, we got to get that back. We've got a couple injuries that have hurt us defensively, but still, we've got to get production and we've got to get guys with more confidence, and we're going to face good pitching. That's the major leagues.
NFL, the Packers added Aaron Banks from the 49ers in free agency. He'll play left guard, 6'5", 325 pounds.
Love Banks' physicality. I think he's really going to step up our game there. And just a good veteran presence. I think, is a guy that we're going to lean on in a lot of different situations. But I'm excited about having him in there to up our physicality for sure.
That's Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stanovich. The full NFL regular season schedule to be released tonight with Sports on Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Partly sunny and feeling summery with high temperatures scraping the low 80s today and a chance of spotty showers or maybe a quick storm this afternoon. And tomorrow, the heat cranks up a little.
We're going to do a whole hour one day on Disney movies. What's your favorite Disney
Strong
movie?
to severe thunderstorms move through early evening. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, 78 degrees.
Adjust your veil and prepare.
LA Tom, I feel like if you're going to make it an acronym, you should do childcare, healthcare, rent, taxes, and then make it chart. Because then you can say it easily.
Any kind is getting really close to the model of rule that the American constitutional system is entirely designed to resist.
Entirely designed to resist. Antithetical to our foundational principles.
The Maggie Dawn Show, weekday afternoons 4 until 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Hello, Bluey.
Talking with our pal Stuart J. Waddles. This is an episode of Bluey that Stuart turned me on to. I like the show so much. Would it be weird if I left my wife, remarried, and had kids with someone else just so I could watch Bluey with my new set of kids?
I don't think it'd be that weird. I've heard a weirder.
You
It'd make a great story.
You get the exclusive.
Yeah, it was hard to figure out what to keep and what to cut because it was all so funny.
That was really good.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program. It is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is Hump Day. There you go. Made it halfway through the week. Cannot wait. Later, I said earlier on the show, later on, going to be hanging out at Cooper's Tavern tonight with Monte Ball, a fireside discussion moderated by our friend Kristen Bry. All proceeds going to mental health awareness and Monte's foundation and Journey as well. So really, really a great cause. I'm looking forward to an enlightening, a fun, but also an informative evening tonight at Cooper's Tavern.
I look forward to hearing about it. Also, Cooper's Tavern's just really delicious.
Also, Cooper's Tavern, they have all. I mean, how many taps do they have there? It's crazy.
A bunch? I don't know.
And the cool thing is they have unique beers from different places that you might not always have them. So, and there's going to be mocktails as well, which is pretty cool. So looking forward to that tonight. Many thanks to Trygve Olsen, Senior Advisor at the Lincoln Project, for being here, as he always is. Each and every week, he'll rejoin us next Wednesday. And Mr. Kreitlow will be back from Portugal.
Is that where he is?
I think so.
No, it is. I know.
You knew that.
I just didn't know if it was an undisclosed location.
Oh, I don't. It's not anymore, I guess. I thought he had talked about it on
He
the
probably
show.
did.
I don't know. Pat Kretlow's European vacation.
I'm pretty sure if we say he's in Portugal, there like nobody who's trying to find him is going to be able to find him.
I just hope he gets
it's
back
a whole
in.
Country.
I just hope he gets back in.
I think he will.
And I'm only half. I mean, less than half joking, but it's a scary, kind of scary thing, right?
Here's the thing: he's a white man. For now, that's enough to get let back in.
Yeah, you're probably right. Coming up, speaking of white men, different kind, Ron Johnson, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, according to Politico.com, threatening to tank the GOP mega bill, as Trump calls it, the big, beautiful bill. And he's been here before. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, Trump's legacy on the federal court system, young Americans. Zommers, you're a young American. The support for free speech in the United States amongst young Americans on the decline. We'll discuss that a little bit. I'll be interested to hear your take on that. And, of course, your phone calls as well, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. But right now, it is 9 minutes past the hour of 3. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course,
The choice is yours.
You can get with this, or you can get with
Time
that.
once again for What's Worse. Nothing to give away, no prize money involved, but it is your chance to have your voice heard across all 11 news talk sports stations around the state of Wisconsin. Well, that's kind of true. I'm not sure if the Brewers concluded yet, because the Brewers were on the Brewers stations here.
I do not know.
Let me look it up live on the air. This is the hot breaking news here. Hey, Milwaukee Brewers got a win.
They're in the bottom of the 8th.
Why does it say win on my? It says 2 minutes ago. It says Brewers win on the Twitter feed.
Well, I guess the thing that I'm looking at is outdated.
Or maybe the Brewers are just projecting a win, which, they could use that right now. Brewers are wrapping it up against the Guardians this afternoon, and it looks like, yes, the Brewers indeed have won. And so all those stations that were listening to the Brewer game, welcome back to the Talk Network across Wisconsin. Brewers will go at it again on Friday. They have tomorrow off, and then we'll be back home at AmFam Field, 6:35 pregame show. The Minnesota Twins are in town against the Brew Crew. So there you go. So anyway, what's worse? Your chance to have your voice heard across the state of Wisconsin. Here's the category today. And on a day like today, in Madison right now, mostly sunny skies. Could be some rough weather for parts of Wisconsin tonight into tomorrow, so be aware of that. But you have the allergies going on, right? All the trees leaving out. Do you say leaving out or budding out or blossoming out? I don't know.
I would probably say blossoming or blooming.
All right, very good. And you got the flowers and all that, which is fantastic. But for people who have allergies, no fun at all. And then with weather like this, you've got sunburn. So the category today, what's worse, allergies or sunburn? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. If you don't have it, you'll want to download it, because on Friday, we're going to continue our free Friday ticket giveaway big time show. And it's we're giving away a 4-pack of tickets on this show alone, as well as on the other network shows. Your chance to, and that's the great thing about it. You can listen all day to Kreitlow in the morning, Jane Matt Nair from 9 until 11, along with Greg Bach. Then you got the Tom Hartman Show, then us, then Maggie Dawn, then Pete Schwaba. And on each of these shows, you can listen and text in we'll give you a word for that particular show. And just from that and those entries alone on that show, we pick a winner on Fridays. And those winners get a game with 4 tickets to the Civic Media seats, we'll call them. The club, they're very nice seats in the club section of AmFam Field. So the point is, you got to have your app ready to go. Go to your app store, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C. It'll come up. Takes less than a minute to download. It is free. It's what CBS's Gail King calls a deal, the Civic Media app. So text us or call us on today's What's Worse, allergies or sunburn. 855-752-4842. Let's go to the phone lines. Brian, listening on WAUK in Milwaukee. Brian, allergies or sunburn? What's worse?
Hey, guys. From experience, I'm going to say allergies, just because they're trickier, in my point of view, to prevent or treat. Because once allergies get into your system,
right,
there's the eyes, the nasal sprays, and all that. At least with sunburn prevention, you can at least put on sunscreen, and if you do get sunburn, then you at least can use aloe treatment or, wear a hat or something like that. But once the allergies get in your system, you're miserable, and it's not just for a few days. And a lot of people are dealing with allergies right now, and they're lasting like a week and a half, 2 weeks just for one bout of allergies. So.
Does yours depend on whether or not, year to year? Because my allergies have gotten worse, but so far, knock on wood, they haven't been that bad this year.
You know what's funny is it's like pre-COVID, I never used to have allergy problems.
Really?
Maybe sometimes with my parents' pets. And it was only when I would, visit my parents and, you could tell there was dander in the air and stuff like that. But now Mom has a purifier at home because I live with her, and she tries to, keep the pet dander down. But it seems like since COVID, my eyes would water all the time, and then I'm sneezing all the time. And now it's at the point where I literally have to I take a Zyrtec, I use Flonase, and I use eye drops.
That's crazy.
For my allergies. They're that bad. And it just seems like if everyone tells me this, that they just keep getting worse.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, take care of yourself, Brian. Hopefully
you too. Thanks.
Thanks. Appreciate the call. Appreciate the listenership. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. What's worse? Today's category, allergies or sunburn. On the text line, Chris, listening in beautiful Rock County in Janesville on WMDX, says, until I turned 48, I would have said sunburn is worse. Now that I somehow have allergies, I'm going to get a sunburn. But 48 seemed to be the key there. Okay, interesting. Christy, listening up a beautiful WCFW in Eau Claire. I'll be up there next week for my youngest niece's graduation. Christy in Eau Claire says, sunburn hurts but goes away. Allergies are all summer long, so allergies are worse. You can feel sick for months. Yeah, that's the thing that lingers, right? Matt in Madison, or pardon me, Matt Middleton, listening on WMDX, says sunburn is far worse, as you can end up looking like some of those hideous gold digger, what? I'm not sure.
Women.
Oh, good Lord. who frequent Mar-a-Lago or even Orange like the man himself. Gross. I'm laughing because I think it was last night at NBC. They had like a Joan Rivers. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Joan Rivers, for those who might not know, was a comedian, a groundbreaker. Really, she was one of the first big women. I mean, she in comedy, and she ended up co-host, or was the permanent guest host of the Tonight Show when Johnny Carson would go on vacation, and then was the first woman to have a late night show of her own. And it took 18 years until Chelsea Handler was the next woman to host a late night show.
A pioneer in entertainment.
Anyway, she was. She passed away like 10 years ago. So they had this tribute to her last night on NBC. I watched a little bit of it. And some of her jokes, oh my gosh. I mean, really raunchy and really funny. And she was going after, cougars and gold diggers and women that had, plastic surgery and everything. And would make fun about women's body parts that I can't say on the air, but were really funny. Joe, I'd forgotten how funny Joan Rivers was. Greg in Genesee Depot, on the subject at hand, what's worse, says sunburn is the worst. Tyler, listening in Columbia County on WMDX, sunburn is the worst. I live in my IT world closet and light burns. I'll go back to my cave now. Oh, that's true, right? People that work indoors all the time, it's certainly harder. Megan, listening in beautiful Sun Prairie here in Dane County, hometown. Well, not the hometown. It's right down the street from Luke Mather's house on WMDX, says allergies are worse, especially food allergies and sensitivities. Stomachs are difficult to diagnose when there's a problem. Well, that's kind of a whole, I guess we didn't clarify, but that's a whole different kind of allergy, food allergies. I think the category refers to seasonal pollen type of allergies. Allergies or sunburn, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Zombers, what's worse?
I think I'm going to have to go with the call we got earlier from Brian in Milwaukee and the texter saying that allergies are worse because you can feel sick for months. I lately, the last few years, have not had nearly as bad seasonal allergies as I did. But when I was younger, it was debilitating.
Really?
In the spring and the fall.
Yeah.
Where I'd go and help my dad with something outside. Well, just kidding. Nope. I'm going to have to sit in the truck the entire time because I can't breathe.
Or sneezing all the time, runny nose, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, mine have gotten worse as I've gotten older, except so far this year, I'm a little stuffed up, a little more nasal than normal right now, but not as bad as I have been in other years. I would say that the allergies are worse because, as other callers have said, sunburn kind of lasts for 2-3 days. The worst part of it, if you really get burned, again, use I don't want to call it lotion, but
Some of them are suntan lotion or
some kind of blocker.
Sunscreen.
That's the word. Thank you. Use sunscreen, folks. That's the key. Use sunscreen, and you won't have the sunburn. But
right. It's easier to prevent for most people. Some people burn super easily, but for most people, it's easier to prevent sunburn.
Usually, yeah. So I'm going to say that allergies are worse. If you still want to dial in, we'll take a couple more calls. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Bob in Sauk City says sunburn is worse. Can't get cancer from allergies. Well said, Bob. Well said. We'll come back and talk a little Ron Johnson. He's threatening to tank the big, beautiful bill. Stay with us. It's the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7
So
WMDX.
Luke sent me a message. Pete's show, he does not have any keywords.
May 17th, 10 a.m. to 4
It
p.m.
is Pat, Mino and the Mayor, John and Gordy, Jane, Tom, Todd, and Maggie. And also, apparently, this is news to me. There is one 4-pack per day. It's not one per show. I thought so too. He said we needed to reread the rules, and I read the rules, and I'm like, well, Pete, that's fair, but the one per day is not clear in the rules.
All right.
Satisfied customers,
But
also committed to making your home
that
comfortable,
I guess that's how it is.
attractive, durable, and sustainable. If you want a quality remodel and a quality remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
All right.
Tons of glass artists share the same passion for eye-catching art as Ignite Glass and Gifts, so we're showcasing their work.
So it's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So there's 5 chances to enter each day.
Yes.
But there's only one set of tickets.
Mind-blowing designs are here for you to enjoy. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts. Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. Plus, Ignite Glass and Gifts.
I think in the future, hopefully that can be worded in a more direct manner.
Yeah.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. The biggest thing that happens in Wisconsin state government every 2 years is the state budget. And last week at the state capitol, Republican lawmakers took a step
I
forward
thought
in
it
the
was being
process
helpful,
by
but no, I
voting
wasn't.
out more than 600 measures from Governor Tony Evers' budget proposal. This has become a familiar step in this era of divided government. This is now the 4th budget proposal that Evers has put forward, and each one has been met with a similar fate. Even as this has become the custom, it doesn't have to be this way. Republicans could honestly engage with this budget and debate it on its merits. There are good, smart proposals here on everything from health care to education to child care to environmental protection. And if there are items here
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 minutes now past the hour 3 o'clock. Glad to have you along on this hump day. Beautiful skies right now here in Madison, downtown Madison on State Street. Some big white fluffy clouds that may turn into storm clouds later on. So in all seriousness, weather could get rough later on tonight and tomorrow. So be aware of that. Particularly, and I'm talking really rough. When I say central Wisconsin, basically take far western Wisconsin and far eastern off the board, and it's everything else. So it's kind of a wide swath, some unstable weather coming in, but keep an eye to the sky here. But right now, it's absolutely beautiful. Here's the thing, pursuing truth, as we say, sometimes Todd makes a mistake. And I fess up to it. I own up to it. So and here's what's happened. The attorneys we always talk about are listening to the show, and the censors, the Civic Media attorney censors, have called in and called me. I did not give accurate information on the big Free Ticket Friday Brewer giveaway earlier this hour, and I need to correct myself.
Yes, we must issue a correction. First of all, and most importantly, this is a statewide contest.
It is a statewide contest. Yes, that's the most important thing. Now, here's the deal. We're running this on Fridays for the rest of the Brewers season. And you could have a chance to win on the Pat Kreitlow Show, Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, which airs across most of the network. Also on Mino and the Mayor, which airs in Green Bay and Oshkosh. On John and Gordy, which airs here in Madison. On Matt and Aaron Air with Jane and Greg from 9 until 11 across the network. The Tom Hartman Show has an opportunity to win. We do. And then the Maggie Dawn Show from 4 until 6. So those are the correct time slots. And the other thing is that we'll have one 4-pack winner each Friday, not for each show. I misspoke on that.
Right. And so what you get is not 5 chances to win a set of tickets. You get 5, or sorry, this is difficult to phrase. You don't get 5 chances to win 4 tickets each show. You get up to 5 chances per day for one set of tickets.
You made it much more difficult
Yes, I
than
did.
it needed to be. You get 5 chances to win a set of tickets. That's the bottom line. I really need to start going to the meetings. So no, this is great. This is great. It's still, you get there are 4 tickets of the beautiful club level seats up for grabs each Friday, and you can enter. So that the bottom line is, the more you listen to Civic Media on Fridays, the greater the chance is that you can enter, which increases your chances to win that one set of 4 tickets each Friday.
Yes.
Did I get it right now? Ding, ding, ding,
That's
ding,
correct.
ding. All right, very good. All right, that's good. We got the paperwork out of the way. 855-752-4842. We got Jack in Merrimack. Thank goodness, Jack. Get us back on track here. You wanted to weigh in on what's worse, allergies or sunburn. Jack, what's worse?
Well, I was a professional lifeguard for 6 years and know all about sunburn that you could possibly imagine. I also had allergies. I was studying them at the time I was 11 or 12 years old. About 10 years ago, I connected with a doctor who was an allergy specialist, and he started me on a series of shots. Today,
Really?
I'm about 95% allergy-free. So, you can cure allergies to a certain extent. I still have I was a swimmer for a long time too, and I still have an allergy to chlorine water, and they don't have a cure for that one.
Really? Now, Jack, as a former lifeguard, what do you feel is the best sunscreen to use to protect people outside?
Boy, almost anything that's got an SPF of 30 or so, I would say.
Okay.
My preference was back in the day for a thing called Bullfrog, which doesn't exist anymore. I guess you can find some old bottles still full on eBay. I've run across once or twice. But regarding sunburn, I have a regular 6-month appointment with a dermatologist, and about every other appointment, he burns some stuff off of my face or other body parts that were exposed, shall we say, that are probably the direct result of all those sunburns.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say sunburn is more dangerous, although people can have very dangerous allergies too. I wouldn't doubt that.
That's a great point, Jack. The consequences of long-term exposure and sunburn like that, those can be life-threatening. Some of the face cancers and that sort of thing. I mean, if you don't catch those early enough, and so prevention is the key, right, Jack? Slather on the SPF 35 or 40 or even 50, and or wear a brimmed hat, something like that, if you're gonna be outside.
All of the above, actually. And if you already have had a lot of exposure, preventive maintenance is a real critical thing, especially at my age.
Well, you're still pretty spry, Jack, I think. I mean, your voice sounds spry. So we always appreciate you calling in. Thanks, Jack and Merrimack. All right, so here's a good question, by the way. Teresa, listening in Madison on WMDX on the Brewers Friday ticket giveaway, she asks if the tickets we're giving away on Friday are for the game. No, they aren't. That's a great question. Each giveaway day is going to have a specific game. And so, at least in our show, I tell you what that game is. So you have to be able to go to that game, and you cannot exchange it for a different game. So,
and it'll always be at least a few days ahead of time.
Right.
You're never going to have to figure out, oh, do I need to change my plans today? No,
Right.
it'll always be at least in the next week.
One of our listeners, Kurt, texts in, what's worse is trying to figure out your giveaways. What the heck are you guys talking about? That's pretty good. I like that one. By the way, the Brewers won 9-5 over the Guardians. How about that? As Mel Kiper once said. Come on back. We'll get around. We'll finally get to this story of Ron Johnson threatening to take the big, beautiful bill of Washington, D.C. News, weather, and sports is next at the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Conversation 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
At the Dane County Farmers Market, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program recipients can redeem their SNAP dollars for tokens. I'm Charity Seebecker for
Mike
the
in
Midwest
Spring
Farm
Green
Report.
wanted to give
And
another
Carl
sunburn
Flegg
comment.
of Flegg
So.
Family
All right, we'll
Farms
do that
in
quick.
Rudolph says it's been beneficial for farm vendors, bringing dollars to farmers that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's put thousands and thousands of dollars into the farmers markets here in Dane County. And
All right,
back home
we
in,
cleared everything up on the
Wausau and
old
Stevens
on the
Point.
Brewers thing.
So,
Does
yeah,
everybody
it's a
have?
very important program.
I think so.
I just spent 3 days in Washington, D.C.
I'm nothing if not a
with,
pleaser.
Farmers Union. It's very important what we stress to the politicians is that in the Farm Bill, we
I'm not
need
going
a
to play
strong
it, but
nutrition
I do
program.
have Ron
Once again,
Johnson's
that's
theme
Carl
song ready.
Flegg of Flegg
What?
Family
Which
Farms
one is
in Markets right after.
The Soviet national anthem.
No, there's nothing to do with that. Thank
I
you.
know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not going to use it, but it is Russian Ron's theme
Farm-based
song.
Jam
That's
Yankee
pretty
here
good.
to remind you about Bavaria Sausage. Not only do they have award-winning products that you can pick up at their store located at the corner of Nesbitt Road, Fitch-Rona Road in Fitchburg, Monday through Friday, 9 until 7, Saturday, 9 until 1. Always open online, BavariaSausage.com. The other item to keep in mind is the clean label that your family can enjoy. Simple ingredients make the savory flavors that are featured in all of Bavaria Sausage's selections. And let's also remember about the convenience and value you're getting. Think about that protein that you're featuring for your family and the inexpensive cost when you purchase at Bavaria Sausage. Check it out online, BavariaSausage.com. Stop by and say hello. Corner of Nesbitt Road, Fitch-Rona Road in Fitchburg. Bavaria Sausage.
I'm Charity Seebecker for the Midwest Farm Report with a look at your closing markets. Cash corn closed at $4.45 1/2, up 3 cents. New crop corn closed at $4.40 1/2, down 1/2. Cash beans closed at $10.77 3/4. That was up 5 1/4 cents. And new crop beans closed at $10.61 1/4, and that was up
Oh my
1
gosh.
3/4.
I didn't see
And
this till
July wheat
now,
closed
but it's
at
from yesterday.
5.24
Scott
3/4,
Jennings on
and that was
CNN
up 7 1/2 cents.
gave a little speech
On the
about,
dairy
maybe
side
we
of
should give a
things,
second
June
chance
Class
to
3
Emperor
milk contract
Palpatine.
is trading at
And then just
18.80
said all this stuff like,
hundredweight.
maybe
That
he
is
was
up
right,
2
like just
cents.
comparing him
And
directly to
July
Trump.
Class 3 milk
And it's an
contract
accurate
is
comparison.
trading at
That's all I'm saying.
Good
18.97
gosh.
hundredweight,
That guy,
and that is down
he is such
4
a slime
cents.
ball.
Barrel cheese
Yeah,
closed
it's
today
not
at
what I would do on
177
live
That was
news.
up a quarter. 40-pound block cheese closed at 184 3/4. That was up 6 3/4. And the double A butter had no change today.
Everyone else at
and
the table is
closed
just
today
like,
at 234
yeah.
For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Charity Seebecker.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Isolated evening storms, otherwise partly cloudy with a low within a few degrees of 60 tonight. Waves of showers and storms tomorrow and breezy, a few storms severe, highs in the mid-80s. Showers and breezy for Friday, clearing out for Saturday and Sunday. Currently 81 degrees.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
LFG, baby. Let's go.
Do you know who the king of LFG is? Tom Brady. Before every game, he runs to the crowd, screams LFG, fist bumps, and runs back.
He could be saying, let's floss gingerly.
No, he doesn't say the acronym.
Let's floss gingerly.
Whatever reason, it gets his team wound up.
That intimidates the opponents right there.
He gets it done.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Teachers are dynamic leaders shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures,
30 seconds.
leading by example.
Wherever it may lead, and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on this beautiful Wednesday. As the meteorology team said, some parts of the state may get some rough weather later on tonight into tomorrow, so be aware of that. But enjoying the day here so far on a sunny afternoon in downtown Madison. Going to get to the story in Politico on Ron Johnson in a minute, but one more phone call on our subject, our category from What's Worse today. What's worse, allergies or sunburn? We go out to beautiful Spring Green, listening to WRCE in Richland Center. Mike in Spring Green. Mike, thanks for calling. Allergies or sunburn, what's worse?
Well, I think sunburn is worse because it's dangerous. But the last guy you had was, you were talking about preventatives, and something I have is a couple of shirts that actually have SPF ratings.
Yes.
And one has a hood. And we're looking for that cloth because we want to make skirts for our kayaks so our legs are covered as well. But I wear those things when I swim, and they're kind of light nylon, and they work great. So that's a thought, too.
I appreciate you mentioning that. I actually have on right now one of my LL Bean shirts that has that in it. I have a couple of shirts and a pair of pants that have that UFV protection in it. And they say it's good for anywhere between 50 and 75 washes before it really starts to kind of deteriorate. So, hey, anything helps.
Well, in most cases, I swim in freshwater lakes with it, so I just rinse them out, and
there you go.
And I don't wash them maybe every 3 times or so that I use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
great tip. Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks. Have a great day out there in beautiful Spring Green in Southwest Wisconsin. All right, let's get to this story in Politico today. Our very own Wisconsin U.S. Senator, Republican Ron Johnson, threatening to tank the Republican mega bill. And the headline says he's been there before. Ron Johnson is no stranger to being a squeaky wheel inside the Senate GOP. Now he's asking for trillions of dollars worth of grease. The frequently cantankerous Wisconsin senator is pushing his fellow Republicans to deliver huge spending cuts as part of their party line domestic policy bill, and vowing to block President Donald Trump's top legislative priorities if his demands, which are shared by a small cadre of fiscal hawks, aren't met. As the mega bill moves through the House, Johnson increasingly is vocal in his warnings, and there are early indicator for the U.S. Senate GOP leadership and the White House that they've got major headaches awaiting them across the Capitol. Senate Republicans can only afford to lose 3 people, have 3 defections on the expected party line vote. Johnson said in an interview where he described his insistence on returning to the federal government to quote-unquote pre-pandemic levels of spending, he said, quote, "I think there's enough of us that would say, no, that's not adequate," unquote. Now, the math, according to Politico, the math issue that is created for Republicans is stark. If the House GOP is struggling to hit the $1.5 trillion with a T in spending cuts, while Johnson and his allies want to go much, much further, returning to the level of federal expenditures that predates multiple rounds of pandemic stimulus. A major infrastructure bill and the Democrats' own domestic policy mega bill would, by Johnson's own estimation, require more than 6 trillion cuts. So again, the House right now trying to hit 1.5, struggling to do that. Johnson insisting on 6. Now, again, I'm somebody I don't have a problem with spending cuts when you look at an agency or something, a program, and do an evaluation. In Wisconsin, we have an audit bureau for years and years led by a great person, Jan Mueller, who was kind of the equivalent to Bob Lang, who runs the Legislative Fiscal Bureau. Nobody questioned Jan Mueller when she was the director of the audit bureau here in Wisconsin, because she did it right down the middle, as they say. She didn't take sides. She looked at the numbers. She reported it as it was. You could trust what she said. I think we need the same thing at the federal level. Of course, much harder to do, much bigger budget, much different agencies. But you can look at certain agencies, certain programs, and say, is this working? What is being funded? Is that what taxpayers are getting back? And if not, then there are some cuts to be had. On the flip side, it's indisputable that to get the cuts that the Republicans are talking about in Congress right now, whether it's $1.5 trillion in the House or this ridiculous goal of Johnson's at $6 trillion in the Senate, there ain't no way you're going to get there unless, A, you gut Medicaid, Medicare programs and start going after Social Security, and or you tax the ultra rich. And I want to be clear about this because some people confuse this a little bit. Well, millionaires should be paying their fair share. Look, there are farmers in Wisconsin. There are truly small business people in Wisconsin who make $1 million plus a year, gross. But they also pay a lot out. I'm talking about the Elon Musks of the world, the billionaires, the people like Trump who pay a lot of money for attorneys and lawyers and accountants and find loopholes so that the richest, the 1%ers in this country pay the least amount of taxes. Meanwhile, folks like you and me are, shelling out a lot of our income. And look, I don't mind, well, nobody likes paying taxes. But as long as I know it's going to services that I enjoy or my friends and neighbors enjoy, I get it. It's how you got to run the country. But, and there's part of me that really thinks that all this stuff about the plane and Qatar and all the, I actually think Trump wants the plane. But we spend so much time, and I'll put myself in this box, I spend so much time talking about the fire hose of information every day, the headline, that I don't think we've talked enough about, at least on this program, about what's going on with this budget in Washington, D.C. Because this stuff, these cuts that Republicans want to make, all in the name of quote-unquote fiscal conservatism, is going to have the biggest impact on us as Wisconsinites. And as a former Republican, let me tell you, what the Republicans right now, the MAGA folks, are doing, there's nothing fiscally conservative about it. They want to raise the debt ceiling by trillions of dollars, mortgaging our kids' and grandkids' future. When I worked for a Republican member of Congress in the 90s, they worked in a bipartisan fashion with Democratic President Bill Clinton, and they got rid of the deficit. Then along came 9/11 and spending on that war. Then you had the pandemic, of course. So Ron Johnson, this is just pie in the sky. This is just, there's no way you can hit this mark unless you just gut programs. And that's going to be really interesting to see how this moves forward, because if Johnson is truly serious, and he's done this before, he's dug in, then Republicans are going to need at least a handful of Democrats to cross over to pass this. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. LA Tom watching on YouTube says we should only be speaking about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. We should hear from your callers about how important these programs are to them. It's a great thought, LA. Anybody, and here's, we've talked a little bit about on this show before. There's a stereotype that is held up by my former party that somehow people that receive assistance are lazy, don't want to work, just lying around. But again, these programs are helping our parents and our grandparents who are in nursing homes. These programs are helping people all over the state, not just in blue voting counties, but red voting counties. If you look at who receives these benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, these are safety net programs, and in many cases, people who have retired, they might get some retirement, but that Social Security check, whatever it is very important. And I want to be really clear and really careful. So far, keyword so far, what is being talked about amongst these cuts, as best I know, no one's talking about taking away payments from people who are currently on Social Security. And there are people out there that want to use this to score political points. And it scares the bejesus out of senior citizens who rely on this. And I think those are cheap shots, and I distance myself from those. No one that I've heard that's reputable so far has said we're going to change what people are currently getting on Social Security. But, hey, I'm 55. I'm in that category where I'm hoping I might get some of it back, but I don't know if I'm going to get all of it back. But certainly people 40 and younger, that's where we're talking about here. That Social Security might not be a thing for that generation and people paying into it. And instead of drawing lines in the sand like Ron Johnson is here, what we really need is what Tip O'Neill, a very liberal, big-time Democrat from Massachusetts, Speaker of the House in the 1980s, and an adversary of Republican Ronald Reagan, the president. But they found a way in the 80s to sit down and, at least for 35, 40 years, save Social Security. We need more people like that who are very ardent and say, look, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, we're not changing each other on that. But we have to find these basic things that keep our community, that keep our country going, to come to some bipartisan agreement on. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Cam in Appleton says, I put 10 years worth of money so far into it. I'll eat
someone if I don't get it back. Just
okay.
Just a joke, like saying,
right.
And I really hope this sticks around.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very important programs to a number of our folks. And again, Ron Johnson just, posturing. Not my cup of tea. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up. We'll talk more about this as the budget moves forward. Going to change gears from the focus being on older folks to younger folks. New, that's not really polling, I guess new data from futurefreespeech.org. Futurefreespeech.org. Headline, Young Americans' support for free speech declines. In both 2021 and 2024, nationally representative groups of 18 to 34-year-olds in the United States were asked whether they believe people should be able to express various potentially controversial statements. And a smaller percentage agreed in 2024 than in 2021. This is fascinating to me and a little quite frankly, disturbing. Will Zommers is in that category. We'll ask him on the other side. Take your phone calls as well. It is a Wednesday edition of the Todd Allbaugh Show across the state of Wisconsin, and you're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network.
Reach, engage, grow.
Steve had a
with
comment
Civic
about
Media.
Social Security and
Log
how it
on
plays into federal employee
civicmedia.us/advertise.
retirement and stuff.
Hey, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing from their mattress. A good night's
What-
rest, am I right? It's
What
not
is this
rocket science.
study
You don't need a
again? Because I was on the phone when
Oh,
you
that's
just said.
fine. It's from futurefreespeech.org.
Right. Okay.
And it's 18 to 34-year-olds
Someone could be living right
saying
next door.
that
At Verbo,
the amount of people in that category that say that people should be able to say controversial things has declined.
Cool off the summer at Frosty's, West Madison small batch ice cream shop. Enjoy rich, handcrafted flavors and soak up the sun on the outdoor patio. And if you mention you heard this on the radio, get 5% off. Frosty's, 702 South Gammon Road.
Herbal Aspect has landed. That's right, Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie, because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3
I mean, just
Landscaping.
quickly skimming some stuff from the
15 years of
article,
top-quality
I definitely
service,
see
they
this.
treat your
Really?
property like their own.
Interesting.
608-209-2185 for expert care and a vibrant tomorrow.
You know Ignite Glass and Gifts 3 locations in Madison, but you can
But
also
again, I don't
shop
know the
Ignite
exact
Glass
point
and
of it
Gifts
since I
dot
haven't been
com.
able to read it.
You'll
Yeah.
find grinders, lighters, collectibles, hand-blown glass water pipes, artistically designed jewelry, and plenty of other items delivered straight to your door or to family and friends. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape, Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. Plus, IgniteGlassandGifts.com.
Hey, Gordy. How you doing?
Oh, Arthur, great to see you. What are you doing in the studio?
Well, I need to talk to you about doing a commercial.
Okay. Well, to get a commercial on the air here, you just go down to the sales department. It's right next to the bathroom.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners out there how to contact me to get a commercial on WMDX.
Okay, I get it. Okay, let's come up with something. Let's see. Business folks can contact
About
you
30
directly,
seconds.
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is now 8 before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to across the state of Wisconsin. A weather update. Again, weather could get rough over parts of Wisconsin later on tonight and into tomorrow, so keep aware of that. A sports update from our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Brewers get a win finally in Cleveland this afternoon over the Guardians of Cincinnati. 9-5, Brew Crew wins, and they'll return home to Milwaukee for a series against the Minnesota Twins starting on Friday. Broadcast time set for 11:35 on Friday across select stations in the Civic Media Radio Network. I hope one of your stations has been selected. And then after that, after the weather and sports update, Maggie Dawn from 4 until 6, and Pete Schwaba every evening from 6 until 8 for Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Always a great program. A couple of phone calls to clean up, 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, listening on WMDX. Steve in Beaver Dam, thanks for calling. What say you?
Yeah, well, I'm a retired postal worker, and when I joined back in the early 90s, we were part of what they call the FERS system, the Federal Employee Retirement System. Now that's a three-part system, one of which is Social Security. So it's literally part of your retirement package. So now they're talking about trying to cut Social Security. You're cutting the retirement for postal workers.
Yeah, 100%.
And other federal workers.
No, I totally, you're absolutely right, Steve. And thank you, first of all, for being a postal carrier all those years. You guys and gals don't get enough credit for everything you have to do for the rest of us. But you earned that. That's the point, right? Is that federal, I mean, whoever pays in, you've earned that. It's not like people are getting a handout here.
No, they used to have a better, what I always thought was a better retirement system, but they got rid of that in the 80s, I think it was. And that was, you got like 75-80% of your final three or whatever salary. And then they went to this system where you pay into your 401k, you pay into your pension, small pension, and then you pay into Social Security. It's a three-pronged system. It's supposed to make up for the stuff that they took away. Now they're talking about cutting Social Security. It takes away from what you thought you were getting.
Yeah. Really appreciate the call, Steve. Thank you so much. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly out to L.A. Tom, Los Angeles, California. L.A., if you can make it brief. I'm up against the clock here, and I got to get this last story in, but go ahead.
Yep, Todd, I got to push back at you. Don't you dare say I'm 55 and I hope it's there. That is total BS. You have paid into that system your whole life. This is an earned benefit. This is not a welfare type program. And on top of that, all they have to do is scrap the cap of people that make more than $160,000 a year, and Social Security would be solvent for the next 50, 100 longer years.
Right.
So don't fall into that where I hope it's there and things like that. You need to stand strong and say it will be there, and if not, then the people that represent me will be gone. Their asses will be out.
Well, I mean, I agree with your attitude, but I'm also practical enough to understand that I alone. I mean, I think it's good financial planning to say, look, you have to be prepared for anything that could happen. You can't, none of us could control the future.
You have your radio show. And you need to make sure everyone out there is not saying, I hope it's there. You need to make sure we are a democracy still. Mm-hmm. So therefore, before we become a complete authoritarian dictatorship, I don't want to hear the hope and things like that. No, we paid into it. In fact,
right. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be here. I think you're taking my comment a little too literally, quite frankly. I mean, I want it to be there. I want it. I plan on it being there. But again, it's in these days we can't necessarily always say everything is 100%. But I hope you'll keep listening. Always great to hear from Tom in LA. All right, I want to get to this. This is from futurefreespeech.org. In both 2021 and 2024, nationally representative groups of 18 to 34-year-olds, in which Zommers is in that category in the U.S., were asked whether they believe people should be able to express various potentially controversial statements. And it turns out that fewer people in the 18 to 34-year-old category are saying this. The first question: people should be able to express statements that, one, are offensive to minority groups. Now, that has not changed. 59% in 2021, 59% in 2024 say that, yes, people should be able to say things that are offensive. Like, for instance, when you get, 20 yahoos that call themselves Nazis with small genitalia and they put on hoods up at the Capitol and they march around. Now, they're complete idiots, but under the Constitution, do they have the right to do that? Yes. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Next one. Should people be able to express themselves that are offensive to your religion and beliefs? In 2021, 71% said yes. In 2024, only 57% said yes.
That is a concerning decline.
Yeah. Next one. People should be able to express statements that support homosexual relationships. 79% said yes, that should be allowed in 2021. Now only 59% in 2024. What's up with your generations, Alberts?
I don't know. Joe Rogan. Well, more so Andrew Tate. People like him.
Really, Andrew Tate.
Oh yeah, he is.
The last
garbage.
one should you be able to insult the national flag? 71% of 18 to 34-year-olds said yes, you should be able to in 2021. Now only 43% say yes. Folks, freedom of expression is a constitutional right, and that is something I can guarantee. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next. Whatever you believe in, whatever you're fighting for, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. We'll see you tomorrow.
Keep banging on your drum. Keep banging on, and your day will come. Keep banging on your drum, and they will hear you.
All right, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Adios.
Adios.